Did you ever get any money from Costello?
No.
Sir, you also known as Duck Corella? I refuse to answer on the grounds you made attempt to
Got it. And did you ever get any money from Meyer Lansky?
I never got money from any of those fellas.
None of those
None
fellas.
of those fellas. None of.
Are you a known racketeer? I refuse to answer on the grounds you made intent to criminate me. Yes, sir. You have a lawyer?
I don't even speak to the. I mean, I met that Charlie once or twice. I don't even talk to him.
You don't like him?
No.
All right, we're going to talk about the last episode, episode 53, in particular the pajama rule, that a guy is not deadly if he's wearing house pants. You remember that one, Big Ron?
Yes. Is that kind of like if you make it to your house and the cops are chasing you, you're at home base, you're safe?
Yes, it's almost the same rule, except that if you're in leisure clothing, then you are less of a threat. Officers should perceive you as less of a threat and handle you accordingly. Was one of the theories that our juror come up with. But I'll tell you what, let's take a look at the case. Run that video with Emily.
Securus, you may start the conversation now.
This incident began at a house in the area of 35th Avenue and Greenway Road when officers responded to a domestic disturbance.
Hello, Phoenix. Okay, Phoenix 911. What's the address? This is house business or an apartment?
Fire, I need police. They're fighting.
What?
No! I need you now.
We are trying to get out there.
Please, he has a knife, please.
Who has a knife?
My brother, please. His name is... Please.
How old is he?
I need you now.
What is he doing with his knife?
He's trying to stab my mom's boyfriend. Please, hurry up.
Where is he at? Who else is inside?
Nobody. My son, my other one.
Okay, who else is inside?
My son.
Who else is inside?
My
One person. He's right here in the back.
Where's he going? Don't hurt him, please.
He's hurting everybody.
No.
Hey, give me your hands. Hey. 998. Who else is inside?
My son.
Who else is inside?
My
One person.
He's right here in the back. Where's he going?
Did he stab you?
Don't hurt him, please.
Did he hurt anybody?
No.
All right, get back.
Don't hurt him, please.
Did he hurt anybody?
No.
Hey! Shut your head!
Okay, so there's the case. And Jason, you were late to this episode 53, right? You didn't actually see this video, did you?
No, I didn't see this.
First time you seen it?
Yeah.
Now, Corey, you come in, you kind of filled in for our expert witness there for a bit. You saw the video when we showed it to the jury, right?
Oh yeah, I've seen that video.
So, Jason, after seeing it, what do you think? I mean, is this a clear cut of justifiable use of force, or are there any questions in there for you?
The first time I saw it, I didn't see the victim running in front of him. Knowing that he was chasing a victim and the information the officers had going there that he's trying to stab somebody, you have basically a felon running out of the house chasing a victim. I don't think, knowing that, there's no other option.
I mean, it's reasonable to believe that the victim's life is in danger at this point, right?
Absolutely, yeah. What are you going to do?
Right.
Stand there and let him do it?
Right. Big Ron, what do you think about the case? Well, what's your opinion on that? Do you see anything that's sticks out in your mind? You've seen a lot of grand jury cases.
He was in his pajamas, so he's automatically less of a threat. But no, like Jason's saying, when you watch that, unless you're really paying attention, you don't see that person running from the person with the knife. And I think that's what a lot of our jurors missed. They were so
focused in on the pajamas. He's, he can't see anything in his hands because of the lighting. They're not seeing the whole big picture of he's chasing somebody. He's got a knife in his hand, and the police officers had to take their, do what they had to do and neutralize the situation to save that victim.
Yeah. No, and we had, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say we've seen this time and time again with knives. It's a constant. 54 shows, 53 shows, and it's the same thing. We know that person can get to that victim faster than what most people can draw. So, and a lot of people don't look at that.
Well, I don't think that's apparent to the average citizen on the street. I mean, we know that because we watch police videos a lot, law enforcement training between myself and Jason, instructor training there for Corey, and you just real world experience. You would know that an edged weapon can be a threat to you at more than arm's length, right? I mean, if you're 10, 15 feet away, we know that edged weapon can be a threat, but it seems like the general public perceives the knife to be a lesser deadly weapon. What do you think about that, Corey?
Well, people look at it like that, but it's not. I think in a couple cases, people think the survivability of a knife or anything like that is higher, but no, it's actually more deadly and more nasty of a weapon to use. And like we said, you can close the distance in 1.5 seconds. That's all it took. If you look at the video we just seen, that kid was closing the distance very fast, and they had to make a snap decision, and it was the right decision.
Big Ron, pull up. I think it's call out number 2.
I don't know. I just think three big guys and a small dude in his pajamas. I don't know. I just think that they could have subdued him. Seriously.
What about the knife?
Again, I just tase him, whatever. It just seems excessive compared to what he had. He just didn't seem that strong to me. I think one of those officers,
let me ask you this. Should you use non-lethal force to confront a lethal force being presented to you or a third person? Is that what we're doing?
But that's the thing, is I don't think he was lethal. He just seems like a wimp to me, I don't know.
Can I argue this one?
I was waiting for you to jump in, my friend.
Okay,
Go ahead.
so for this guy, you have to expect the unexpected. So there's no telling if this guy is high on some sort of methamphetamine. I don't know if you ever had to wrestle a guy that's been high on meth, but it is extremely difficult. They have superhuman strength, and now he has a deadly weapon. So are the cops going to go wrestle him or tase him? I mean, tasers, people that are high on crack, they don't work. They will get hit with the taser and they'll just walk towards you. So what I'm saying is you have to. It's a split second moment, and that guy, he had potentially a knife. You don't even know. Sometimes you have to be excessive in force in order to protect other lives.
We hear the guy talk about he just didn't think the guy was a threat. I think because of the pants and maybe stature, but in the legal realm, Jason, and we'll get into methamphetamine in a second, but in the legal realm, does any of that matter? Does it matter that he's in leisure clothing and only armed with a knife? How does that come into the equation that we want our police officers to make before using deadly force?
I like how you just phrased only armed with a knife. It doesn't matter.
Well, is this not what the juror said? I mean, only a knife. The guy wasn't a threat. There's 3 big officers there. They could have done something different. Is that really
it doesn't matter. If you have a weapon in your hand, I don't care if you're butt naked. It doesn't matter if you're in PJs, a suit, a tux, or nothing at all. It doesn't matter. Now,
Corey, what do you think about his assertion that leisure wear and just a knife is not a weapon? From your experience as a firearms instructor, how does that come into your equation on to shoot or not shoot?
Well, I thought that they had enough time to call a social worker there. I thought they had enough time.
This guy, boy, son of a bitch.
But no, one of the things is it doesn't matter what you're wearing, right? Not unless you have a bulletproof vest, that would be something different, something to talk about.
That was a song, Corey. It doesn't matter what you wear. That's a song.
What kind of song is that?
Dancing in the Streets.
Who sings that?
Mick Jagger and David Bowie. Anytime, I'm here for you. Appreciate it.
Dancing in the Streets by David Bowie, says Jason, the 30-year veteran of Minnesota law enforcement. Dancing in the Streets.
It's a good song.
It's a great song. Chicks dig it.
Shut up now.
Well, one thing that you look at with this, he's thinking that they're supposed to wrestle someone with a knife. That can lead to puncture. That can lead to stabbing. That can lead to anything, laceration. It leads to many things that you're not going to wrestle someone with a knife. Even if they do get his hand or get the knife in their hand, all you gotta do is pull away. That's another laceration on your hand. So I think the law reads and says great or grave bodily harm. He has the potential for both.
So what about let's say there are 3 officers and Ron, this is to you, 3 officers, and they're like, oh, he's only got a knife. He's in leisure clothes. So put your guns up. We're going to wrestle the guy. So how does that conversation go between the 3 of them as it coordinated? Does somebody step up and say, hey, I'll take the knife in my ribs, and while he's stabbing me, you guys get his legs? I mean, how does that conversation go? Who gets to go in and take that knife first if you don't use deadly force?
That conversation would never happen. It would never happen. And from my standpoint, if somebody presents a knife to me, I'm already drawing on them. They're not going to get that first step in. I've seen too many videos over 20 plus years and what I used to do. It's not going to happen. They're going to go down first, guaranteed.
Even with that video we seen in New Mexico, that was quick.
Even with that video in New Mexico, pajamas, I don't care. It's going to happen.
Well, it comes down to reason. We talk about reasonableness on this show all the time, but it comes down to reasonableness on this. Is it reasonable to ask one of these officers who are a citizen with as many rights as the rest of us do to take a knife to prevent the injury of a person who's exhibiting deadly force to another? And not even to the officers at this point, right? The force is being exhibited to another citizen that has a right not to be stabbed. But I think that when citizens look at police use of force, and I say this goes back over the last 10 years, we've started to stack books and things and tools on top of what all the officers need to exhaust first before they use deadly force. And I think this is a very dangerous thing, but we did get to see it with this juror. Now he goes on to now let's go into the question of methamphetamine. Jason, you wanted to make a comment on the meth, right? That Steve Loves Ammo brought up.
Yeah, meth doesn't give you superhuman strength, and it's not fair. And we get this a lot too, to assume somebody's high. We don't know that, and you have to assume a threat is a threat. So assumptions, assumptions will get you in trouble. And if you go to court and you say that I thought he might have been on PCP, which will give you superhuman strength, how do you know that for sure? You're going to get your ass destroyed on the defense stand. You don't recognize that until you're in the fight, and then you prove it after the fight. So just a lot of the same conversation we get week after week is these assumptions that they're high or they're drunk, or we don't know.
Well, you don't know when you first arrive on scene. And Jason, I'm going to ask this question of you as law enforcement. When you found marijuana, how did you describe that in your report? Did you say I found marijuana?
No, a green leafy substance with the strong odor. Yeah.
Consistent with the color and texture of marijuana. Yeah. Right. Yep. Because we as police officers, we're not chemists. We can't say that it's marijuana. We can say that it's consistent with what we've seen before. You could say, and I'm going to go back to the methamphetamine argument. You can say that the person appeared to be exhibiting signs of someone who might be under the influence. You can mention things like that, but you can't say that he's on meth, I had to shoot him. You don't know he's on meth. You don't know if he's on a drug at all. And I'm going to say when it comes to mental illness, that's the worst drug at all. People that are experiencing a real psychosis that are really popping out there, they don't feel pain, and you're almost not going to be able to talk them down in when they're in that type of mode. I think they're probably more dangerous to fight than somebody on PCP.
100%. Schizophrenic or bipolar disorder that's not on their meds, that's a fight.
Yeah. Those are dangerous people, and we see, and we do. So how many think you guys think we see on the grand jury where that's exactly what it is? Somebody's experiencing psychosis, and they're in such a state that they had to be shot or killed.
Right. I think a lot of the general public assume they're on drugs. I mean, they're kind of similar the way they're behaving.
I think sometimes they try to rationalize also. They try to rationalize.
Who's they?
The jurors. A lot of jurors, all people that watch the show, they try to rationalize. They try to say, why did this happen? Why did they have to shoot him? That's one of the things that play in the back of a lot of people's minds.
To go back what you were saying, sorry, Corey, I didn't mean to cut you off. No, to go back what you were saying, Joe, I think it's probably every other show, or maybe even once a show, we come across at least one episode where somebody is probably having a mental episode.
I think at least one. Sometimes they'll be all 5. So Ron, give us something on the methamphetamine.
Me give you something on methamphetamine?
No, don't give me no meth, dude. But what's your opinion on Steve's argument?
I agree with
Steve comes sliding in on the police's side, right? And I agree with Steve on his point. I don't know that methamphetamine was the linchpin in the argument that I think he believed it was. I just don't think that drugs in this case had nothing to do with it. Action, I think, is what stimulated
if he was on, and I agree with Jason. I can't dispute you or him when it comes to this, but meth's not going to do that to you. That's not going to make you do that. You'd more likely find that person leaned out in a parking lot trying to bend over than you would anything else. But from the time I was a kid until now at 50 years old, I've always been taught that the PCP is the one that make people have that superhuman strength. That's the one you got to watch out for. And then I agree with what what we're saying about the mental episodes too, because I know some people who have had major mental episodes and they completely lose track of reality. So I agree with both of those. It's definitely not. It's not weed. It's not meth. It's not fentanyl or any of those. Maybe ketamine, but.
Yeah, the meth guys aren't real strong because they don't eat very often and they don't sleep very often, so they're usually real wiry and skinny. They're not as a physical foe as others may be. I think meth guys, especially the guys in deep, don't you think, Jason?
They're
they start to lose body mass pretty quick.
They're actually the easiest fight in the world. It's kind of a thing.
Yeah, there's not much to them guys that have been burnt out on that meth. Not to say that's 100% true. That you'll find some that are not. And I'm not saying that if you were to encounter somebody who's high on meth and having a bad run on it, that they may not be more difficult than maybe someone who's not. So I'm not refuting what Steve says 100%. But I don't know in this case that me as a police officer, I would hang my hat on that. I shot that dude because I thought he was on drugs and that he was uncontrollable in a threat. I think that is probably, I don't think you have anything to go on other than my eyesight. And that's like, I can look at marijuana, I can smell marijuana, but I can't get on a witness stand and tell you that it's marijuana. I can tell you that it's consistent color, texture, and odor to marijuana. And the chemist would have to come in and say that. But it's interesting how this in particular juror, he stood with that all the way, and I believe he voted. Am I right, Big Ron? Didn't he vote for a?
He voted for a bill.
Yeah,
he voted bill.
Do we think about how about lawful but awful? Does anybody want to weigh in on whether they think that was the phenomena that we observed with this guy? This guy's not a liberal type of guy. I've interacted with him on X. He's a pretty conservative cat, center right for sure. So it's not like he's against the use of force with police, but in this particular case, it's something it's stuck with him. But what do you think? Lawful but awful because of PJs?
I don't think so. But again, we've all watched this stuff. You guys have lived this stuff. They see the person running in pajamas, and that's what's stuck in their head. Pajamas, no shirt. He's not a threat. Not he's got a knife, he's chasing somebody. So I think it's 100% was justified. If I was in the jury, I would have voted justified.
Well, I think that it's lawful but awful because he was killed in front of his parents. He was killed in front of his mother, killed in front of his sister, killed in front of his family. That even though they were saving their daughter from their son, it's still something that's going to be painful for them to replay in the memory, look at and say, hey, my son is not here anymore. But not necessarily just far as where we in the gray area, far as with the law, but I'm looking at is just the traumatic situation for the family.
No, 100%. I would say that is in 100% of the cases that we see every week. And I'm not numb to it. I know Jason's not numb to it either. Every week we watch people being very severely injured or killed. And then we pass some sort of a judgment on the force that was used to injure them or kill them. And I'm not numb to that, but it is something that our justice system has to do this. Somebody has to decide whether these cases are good or not, reasonable or not. I am not one for no scrutiny for law enforcement. I think law enforcement should get all the scrutiny. Every citation an officer writes, every report an officer writes, every run of a license plate an officer writes. This is all memorialized forever, just for the fact that the officer's actions as a representative of the government, their actions can be scrutinized. So I'm not against that at all. I think that scrutiny should be a part of the process, but you can't look at these in the emotional sense because you'll never solve them, right? Because you're never going to find a place where that made you feel good. You know what I mean?
Just
you're right on that one.
I want to piggyback real quick. When we say lawful but awful, I think when we talk about the awful side to it, a lot of people look at, like Corey just said, for the families, and I agree, it's awful for the families. The person behind the badge who had to shoot, it's awful for that person and their families as well. And I think generally the public doesn't look at it that way, that we don't go to the briefing and say, hey, let's go kill somebody today. I mean, we don't want to go through that. But I think a lot of the general public actually thinks we conspire to shoot somebody. Like, no, we don't. But it's not a fun process to go through to be in an officer-involved shooting as an officer. And it's not a fun process for the family of the person that was shot to go. It's both sides are affected immensely. And we can't be so short-sighted to just go sympathy for one and not the other, because living on the other side, it's not a fun road at all.
Now it's tough on officers, but I think a lot of people think that I think it's a misnomer by citizens that say an officer's involved in the use of force, maybe not didn't kill someone, just severely injured. That's not like get me a report and we'll talk about it tomorrow, right? That there are immediate things that happens to that officer right then and there. They'll be relieved of their duty weapon. They're going to be, and it's going to be scrutinized. And you can't be, as an officer, you can't be upset about that. There's a homicide. Homicide means one person killed another. Now, whether that's justifiable or not, that's what the investigation is going to try to figure out. But we as officers understand that we're going to be scrutinized, right? And you'll see officers after shootings do things to like mark their spot, know what they need to do, stop talking to everyone, and get themselves isolated because they're preparing for what's going to happen. They're going to get a lot of everything's going to be scrutinized. Their phone, their blood, their urine, everything about them will be scrutinized in this to determine whether it's justifiable or not. And I think a lot of people on the citizen side think that, like, you know, you go into the briefing room this evening, like, hey, Bob, did you shoot somebody yesterday? Yeah, bad one outside the liquor store. They pat each other on the back and go back on shift. And that's just not what happens. Every officer that uses deadly force, if they're lucky, the next 6 or 7 months is going to be hell, and they'll be able to get through that and the scrutiny be over with. If it was labeled the other way, it'll never be over for them. They'll be paying for that for the rest of their life. So I don't think the use of force is so quick as people, citizens try to say that it is. And I think there's plenty of evidence out there to show that, especially in the grand jury after 53 episodes, we see officers that they hold back. They hold back on using deadly force. And I think it's because they know what it's about to happen.
There was a statistic. There was a statistic that I read. This was probably in 2015 that officer-involved shootings, most officers that are involved in the shooting, on average, last 5 years before they quit. They try to get back from it, and they just can't do it, and they leave.
Yeah.
Well, with what both of you are saying, I think that's what the general public, or as you guys call citizens, and even bleeds over to the military side. I think they forget about the human side of it. That you're still a person. You've still got feelings. Yes, you had to do something, but it's still going to affect you, like you said, Joe. It's going to affect them for the rest of their lives. They had to take another human's life, just like for us people in the military. We had to do something, but it's still going to affect them for the rest of their lives. And I think a lot of people forget that. They think that there's no humanity, that, like you're saying, they wake up in the morning and are like, all right, I need to bag 5 today. And that's not the way it is. I don't think anybody gets up and wants to go do that.
Yeah, you also got to think about everyday scenarios where police officers see some of the worst of the worst. They're not there to they're not always there to actually see you at your best. I think Joe said that a while ago, that they're there for a reason. Whether someone's acting out, there's all of that. They have to answer so many calls. They have to be nice to people. They have to be courteous. They have to have a conversation with people that may not want to see them. That may not want to even. They may even wish them death. They may even call them names. All right. The psychological effect of shooting someone and dealing with the public and having to get back out there and have to go back on patrol and having to come in contact with other people, that takes a toll on a lot of police officers. And
Look, yeah, I'm just saying, I'm not here to say poor police, right? It's a great job. It's a difficult job to get. It's a difficult job to maintain, right? Y'all heard me say this about Jason. He made it through 30 years of a war that he survived, and he didn't go to prison. So it's a tough game out there, but it's also a great job, and it's a very privileged person that performs that job, in my opinion. So I'm not here, and each one of you didn't know it was dangerous when you took it. You should have. That's part of the job is danger, and it takes a certain type of person to do it. So I'm not here to simp for the police and go, oh, poor police officers. But it's a tough game. And there are guys in there that they think they've got mentally what it takes, and they think they're tough all the way. And there's no reason to think that they're not until after an incident. And then maybe they'll reevaluate it. Some people don't wait 5 years. Some officers won't be 5 years after the first shooting. Some will never return to duty after that, because it's just it wasn't their bag, wasn't their game. But yeah, I'm not here to simp for police. But before we go, I want to do a little grand jury policing. Now, Jason, you've been our expert witness since the very fucking beginning, right? You've been there since the very first as the expert witness. And we've had some trial and error with how the expert witness is, how we use our expert witness. So you and I have had a talk, right? And you're very good that when the deliberations are going on, you don't chime in, because we've seen this before. When Jason comes in and says, I would have done something different, or I think this, that's the influence of the jury all the way through. They pretty much just says, my vote is whatever Jason said. And that's not what we want in the show. But we kind of experienced something a little different this week in Jason's absence. Corey, let's go back to that. Let's pull that up again.
Weapons. So, like, are the cops going to go wrestle him or tase him? I mean, tasers, like, people that are high on.
So here we're talking about tasers, talking about being high on meth. These are our jurors. This is Steve Loves Ammo right there. He's going to be talking to Jim Balboa, and they're doing what jurors do, right? They're deliberating. This is really good stuff right here. Wouldn't you agree, Ron? This is great production.
Oh yeah, it's awesome when you can get everybody going back and forth.
Okay, well, let's keep listening.
Crack, they don't work. They will get hit with the taser and they'll just walk towards you. So what I'm saying is, like, you have to. It's a split-second moment, and that guy, he had potentially a knife. You don't even know. Sometimes you have to be excessive in force in order to protect other lives. That's just my 2 cents.
I have a question.
Whoa, who's that? Who's that talking there, Big Ron? Who was that?
Oh, that would be our buddy Corey.
For the one that's actually, would you wrestle someone that has a knife? Who's that said?
Well, let's don't get down that road. We got 3 minutes to come up with the decision. All right, we got 3 minutes to come up with the decision. Corey jumps in as I'm an instructor, so I've got to stop and instruct at every issue there. So we pull him back on that. Everything's good. We're okay.
I would just say this, Steve. Then I think that they just should have shot him in the legs, and just, even if you're on methamphetamines and you shoot the dude in the legs, they got to be good enough at shots to do that. Take him out, shoot his kneecap. He'll be like seriously taken out.
Have you ever shot a moving target?
Let me ask you this. If y'all don't mind, I'd like to host the show. That'd work. What do you have
I
to
know.
say for yourself, Corey?
I need to control my composure.
Was that the instructor in you heard? Oh, shoot the legs. I must stop and instruct. Everybody stand back. It's okay. I'm an instructor.
That was the instructor in me. That definitely was the instructor in me. Like, hey, all right, let's address this situation, and maybe I could bring some type of logic or clarity to this and whatnot. That definitely was the instructor situation where I was like, stop, think about what you're saying. But
Man, if I could have reached across the table and slapped you at that point, I would have. I'm thinking in my mind, it's like, what the hell is this guy doing? You're going to school my jury here? Well, let's don't have a jury anymore. We'll just put fucking Corey there and just ask him, what would you do? It'll be a great show, enthralling. People will tune in from all over the world to hear what Corey would do in this fucking situation.
I was like, you know what? Maybe you should shut up. And I was like, yeah, maybe I should shut up. I was having a conversation with myself afterwards, like, shut up. And I was like, yeah, you should shut up. Let the show go.
Ron, how come you didn't stop that? You were the producer, man. You couldn't keep the guy off the stage. This is like doing a concert and this fat short dude jumps up on the stage and is going at the lead singer. You didn't do anything.
Had to let him go. I'll tell you what, though, those are some of my favorite comments. Why didn't you shoot him in the leg? Why didn't you shoot him in the foot? Why didn't you use a lasso on him? Why didn't we use Jason's bedazzled taser? You know, those are always my favorite ones.
My favorite one, Ron, is why didn't you use sleeping gas?
Oh, the sleeping gas.
Favorite.
I think we have that probably at least once every 2 to 3 shows. We should have used sleeping gas.
Sleeping gas. I've only heard it once. I bring it up more than anyone else. It is my all-time favorite show, the sleeping gas. But the
I'm going to print you out an Acme sleeping gas canister to put behind you on the wall.
but now, Jason, you sit through the grand jury, and you sit there quiet. You watch the jury, the video. You listen to the jury, and you don't get a chance to speak until after there's a decision. How often do you have to bite your tongue during the grand jury when you hear some of these things?
No, my mic is silent. My wife watches it in the other room, and I will say, what in the blue fuck are they talking about right now? What planet are they on? And my wife will actually say the same thing. Like, are these guys, what are they talking about? No, I'm not biting my tongue. I am venting to my wife about some of the ideas that come up. And I don't mean that disrespectfully, but it's like, you guys would not last us 5 seconds on the street.
Yeah, the thing of it is, and we've talked about this before, all of us have. I think this is the magic of the grand jury. It's really not our police videos. It's not, hyperbole that I throw in or any one of us throw in. It's not even Ron's sexy fucking radio voice. It's how average people will see something and what keys in their brain. Like the guy having pajamas on, right? I noticed it. Everyone who watched the video noticed that he had pajamas, but I didn't equate pajamas as being less of a threat. I didn't see anything there. It's clothing, right? It could have been blue jeans for all that mattered I think in this situation. But I think it's interesting for us to see and for our audience to see how little things will trigger. And go back to sleeping gas. If you'll go to Carmen and all those ladies from the round table that were on this show that night and ask them about sleeping gas today, they will laugh and they'll say, I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know what I was thinking about the sleeping gas, but by God, I believed it at the time, and they stood 10 toes down to stand on top of it. But I think we see this every week in some form or capacity, and I think the pajamas was a good example of that.
You also known as Duck Corella? I refuse to answer on the grounds of
I met that Charlie once or twice. I don't even talk to him.
You don't like him?
No.